I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life behind. Thunder.
You're listening to the Create What You Speak podcast. My intention is to change the lives of 1 million women, one podcast at a time. Now let's get started.
Thunder, feel the thunder.
My name is Sloan Fremont, and today I'm going to talk to you about conclusions.
Baby, I ain't Wonder Woman. I don't know how to lie, so the look out of you. Don't you know I'm only human? And if I let you down, I don't mean to.
Okay, another week. I've got some really interesting updates for you this week, so I'm going to jump right in. So first off, I got a new job. In my day job. I wasn't actually looking for this. It actually came to me, very easily. And I was like, okay, let's just go with this and see what happens. But I ended up getting the job, which included a 20% pay raise. And now I'm working 100% remotely from home. Okay. That's like the dream job, right? Like this is the thing that I was wanting for a while, but I hadn't actually expressed that. And what was really interesting was I went back to look at my list of the things that I wanted to intend for 2019, and working remotely was not on my list. It was not actually explicitly written as I want to work 100% from home. But what was written on my list was that I travel as often and as long as I want. That's how I wrote it. I travel as often and as long as I want. And this new position gives me that opportunity, right? Because if I'm working from home, I can work anywhere that I want, that there is an internet connection. So, I'm really excited about this. I don't think it's quite hit me yet, like what this opens my world to. But, yeah, I'm excited. So I can't wait to tell you about that. So that's number one. Okay, let's see what else. Invention still in process. Kind of still in holding here as it is in holding until my designer gets the final drawing back to me. But I am going through the 6-week class there's a women's business center here in Nashville. It's part of the Small Business Administration. So they have this 6-week program, which takes you through, setting up your QuickBooks, like doing financial projections, all of these things that you set up to help you with, obtaining a small business loan. And because I do not have manufacturing experience, which is what my invention will require, I am going through the 6-week course so I can learn how to do that. So I'm excited about that. That starts, this week. And I'll also be in Dallas tomorrow. I'm going to be in Dallas at the beginning of the week. And if you remember, that's where the guy, remember back last, in like August, I think, or September, the guy that I met from Dallas, and we ended up meeting in Atlanta and going on a date. He lives in Dallas, like I said. So I don't know. Who knows what'll happen there. All right. So I think that's it for quick updates this week. I've been sick, so my voice kind of might reflect that. So sorry if that's annoying this week, but, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, all right. So here we go. So this week I want to talk about jumping to conclusions. I had a really fucked up situation happen, last week with some of my friends. So I wanted to tell you about that and some of the things that I learned through that process. And when we jump to conclusions, right? We assume that we know the whole story and we get so self-righteous about it. And we have this like split second reaction that comes up where we're like, and it's just like, why would they do that? Or why do they act that way? Or why do they say that? Right? So we're going to dig into that this week. And as always, take what resonates with you from this and leave the rest. All right. So as I mentioned, the situation with my friends. So last week, I was traveling to Kansas for work, and, I got back home late on Friday, and my friends were all going out. I wasn't going to go. I was tired. I had a really long week there, and, I just wasn't interested in it. So I went to bed really early, and that was kind of it. Got up Saturday morning, and one of my friends who had been out, she had called me, but I missed the call. And then she texted me. She's like, I need to talk to you about last night. And I was like, well, that's weird. Like, she never does that normally, right? And so I'm like, okay, whatever. And I go on. I'm like getting ready. I'm going to go work out. And I'm like, I'll call you when I'm done working out. She's like, okay. So I got to thinking about it. I was like, that's weird, because she never calls me and is so adamant about wanting to talk. So I call her on my way to work out. And here's what she tells me. So all my friends go out Friday night, right? I'm at home in bed because I'd gotten in at 7:00 Friday night. And my friends had been out, typically we go out early, 5-ish or whatever. And at the end of the night, after a lot of drinks, I'm not going to use names, so I'll just say friend number 1 and friend number 2. So friend number 1 told friend number 2 that I didn't like her. I mean, she flat out says she doesn't like you. And so this series of conversations happened amongst the friends that opened up this door for other conversations to be had with friend 2. Now, all the other friends had felt some of these things needed to be said and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I mean, I was floored. I was like, what the actual fuck? Like, why would she say those things? I mean, it's true. It's true that I don't feel like friend number 2 and I are a good match as far as friends go. And I just think we have major differences in personalities, right? But I never wished anything bad to happen to her. Nor would I want her to have been told in that way, right? I mean, I look at this as like when you're dating somebody, right? And you don't, maybe you see the guy and you just aren't compatible, but you don't want anything bad to happen. You just kind of hope that it'll just fade away, right? That you'll just go your separate ways because it's just not a good match. And that's how I felt about this person. Never wanted anything bad, never wished anything bad. Definitely didn't want this to be like some high school scenario, like a bunch of girls ganging up on another girl, right? Nothing like that. Nothing like that. I just didn't feel like we were a good match as friends. Plain as that. So as you can imagine, I was pissed at friend number 1 for doing this when my other friends are telling me this. And because I had a conversation with all the other friends that were there. And I'm still just not getting this. Like, why would this come up? Like, why would she even be talking about this when I wasn't there? Right. And so all this shit's going down. I'm not even there. I'm like in bed. Right. And so I thought about this for a while, and, I can tell you what the old me would have done. The old me prior to moving to Nashville and all this would have jumped to conclusions, been really pissed off, talked to everyone that was there except the actual friend number 1 who was the one I should have been talking to. And then I would have formulated my own opinions and never talked to friend number 1 again. Like that's how I used to run my life. Like legit how I used to do it. Like I would just chop, cut, person gone, out of my life. No explanation. Fuck you. We're done here. Bye bye. That's how I used to run my life. And maybe you're like this, right? Or maybe you've been like this in the past, but it's really not a good way to live. I mean, actually, I think I've talked about this on some of the earlier episodes, like that I used to pride myself in that, right? And being able to be so cut and dry and cut people off. But, man, that's not a good way to live at all. I don't miss those days at all. So luckily that's not me anymore. So when I changed my life, 2 years ago, as I talk about all the time on this show, a lot of things changed with it, including my reactions to situations like this. And so here's what I did instead. So I really thought about the intent behind friend 1 in this situation, right? Like, did she set out in the night to go tell friend number 2 this, right? Did she go set out to say that she doesn't like you? I mean, was she like rubbing her hands together like, Mr. Burns on The Simpsons and being like, yeah, I'm going to fuck some shit up tonight? No, I don't believe she was. And so I called friend number 1. And she didn't answer. And she texted me a bit later saying she had just woken up and what's going on and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, that's really weird that she's not bringing this up to me, right? Like she didn't like text me to say, hey, I did this, or she's not saying anything about this. And so I responded and I'm like, I'm calling you because you told her I don't like her last night. And she immediately wrote back. She's like, no, I didn't. What? No, I didn't. And I wrote back like, yes, you did. And so she called me and we had this long talk about it. And in the end, we ended up working it out, right? And she didn't even remember saying it. I mean, after however many drinks, she didn't remember saying it. And I think we've all been there and can relate to that. So I'm not, there's nothing I'm going to say about that. But she did she brought up about how friend number 2 and I didn't get along. And I was like, yeah, that's correct. But that's not the format to deliver the message, right? I mean, I don't want her to be felt ganged up upon or hear it in such a way that, that she's, like I said, like some old high school shit that you would do, like a bunch of girls ganging up on another. And I don't think that's exactly how it went down. But, I explained to her, I'm like, we're just not compatible as friends. And I went through the whole dating analogy that I just said. I mean, it's nothing bad. It's not wrong for either of us. Just, we're not compatible as friends. And so, and I know as she talked to me a little bit more about this, she said, she was telling me how a friend number 2 had been going on and on about the whole night and what was wrong with me and why didn't I respond to her and blah, blah, blah. And she said she just blurted out, she doesn't like you. And so knowing the group like I do, I can see how this whole thing went down. And so again, we were able to work it out. We talked it out. I said exactly what I thought. I said all the things I'm saying on here. And in the end, we, I told her, I was like, I'm not mad. I wish you would have maybe not said it in that way, but I'm not mad. I understand that you didn't intentionally go in doing this to try to, be hurtful to me or even to her, right? It's just the way the night went down. And so I felt better after that. And I think she did too, because she texted me later and, said, thanks for, thanks for just listening and understanding. And I get that, right? I get that. And I appreciated that. And so as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this week and how to talk about the story, because it is sensitive, right? We're talking about people. And, again, I don't want anybody to feel bad or called out or, feel that I'm trying to do anything like that. Cause I'm definitely not. What I'm doing is I'm illustrating an event in my own life, that I hope will help you as you're listening to this. So here's what I learned about this and about jumping to conclusions. As I mentioned, old me would have expected and seen the worst in everyone, been pissed off and just cut the friend out and been like, fuck you, we're done here. But in this situation, I did two things differently. So I really thought about, number one, I thought about the intent behind what happened, right? Did she go into this planning this? Did she go in there, saying, I'm going to fuck some shit up tonight and I'm going to, stir? No, it was nothing like that. And was she enjoying this in this situation, right? Was she like glad about this? No, actually she was mortified. She couldn't even believe she did it. She was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing was the intent. I looked at the intent and I really thought about that, like really from a human perspective. Like, what do I know about this person? I know she's a good person. I know she's never done anything like this before. So, giving her the benefit of the doubt and seeing her as the person that she is. And then the second thing I did was, I gave her the chance to do the right thing, right? I talked to her. I called her. I told her how I felt and I let her talk about how she felt. And I told her I was pissed at first. I was mad. I don't understand why you did this. But as I thought about more, I realized that, your intention wasn't there to do anything like this and that I can understand how this came up and I can see the turn of events based on what everybody had said, with the history of all of us. And yes, there could have been a better format for delivery, but I get it, and I'm not mad. And by doing both of those things, I feel like it got me out of my own mindset here and assuming the worst, like thinking negatively and blah, 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 all that shit that we normally go to so easily first that used to be normal for me. And in doing those things, it gave my friend a chance. It gave her a chance to tell her side of the story or say what she thought about it. Right. And those are things that I wasn't so good at doing in the past. And we're all human, right? We all do stupid shit and we fuck shit up, but that doesn't mean that we're bad at our core or that we're really intentionally trying to do those things. And so I think it's really important to be able to circle back and think about, what do you know about the person? Like, what do you know? And yeah, there's going to be that person, or if you're, potentially someone in your life that would do something intentionally or is never going to do the right thing. But you're going to know that. You already know that deep down. You don't need to ask yourself those questions. You may just not be recognizing it in your own life, but you already know the answer to that. So I'm talking about the people in your life who you really care for, who this isn't something they would normally do. And so I want to clarify the differences there. So as things come up for you in your life where you may be triggered to jump to conclusions, or assume the worst, or feel like someone is out to get you or fuck you over or whatever, I would really encourage you to ask yourself these two questions before you act. The first one is, what was the intent behind the action? Like, was it really bad? Did they really go into the situation intending something negative against you? And did they go in to fuck shit up, or did things just happen, right? Turn of events, 5 drinks, 10 drinks later, right? I mean, even though it may not have been right, did the person really intend to do it? So that's number one, the intention. And number two is, did you give the person a chance to do the right thing, right? Did you have a conversation with them, an open conversation, right? Not one where you came in assuming and fists, elbow swinging and fists going, you know what I mean? Did you really give them a chance to tell their side and clear the air or apologize or whatever else that they might need to do in that situation? And I think if you're able to ask both of those questions and really listen to the answers, you'll be surprised at how situations start to change for you. And you can do this pretty much anywhere in your life. You can use it at work, in your relationships, your friendships, even with your own self as you work through things you've done in the past that maybe you haven't forgiven yourself for. And I think that's really important, right? Like if you look back and you're still holding on to something that you felt like you shouldn't have done or, whatever, who knows what we come up with about to self-punish. But asking yourself, like, did you really intend? Did you really go in intending to do something bad? Or is it just you did the best with what you could at the time with what you knew? And did you give your own self a chance to do the right thing with yourself, right? Like, did you give yourself a chance to just, okay, that happened and now I can forgive myself and let this go, right? I think that's important too, equally as you think about using this with other people in your life. I think it's also important to use it with yourself. And these two questions are really good, at least for me, at bringing clarity to what might be a, really fucked up situation that maybe didn't really intend to get there. Okay, so that's this week on conclusions, about jumping to conclusions. To recap this week's show, the conclusions we make based on events that happen, which may or may not be wrong, but sometimes jumping to those conclusions, it stops us from seeing another option or another perspective on a subject. And so when we're able to stop for a minute and ask those questions, what was the intent and or motivation behind the action? And did I give the person a chance to do the right thing, right? Did I have the conversation with them? Did I do the things that I needed that opened the door for them to make things right? And I think that allows us to soften about the topic. It lets our guard down, and it doesn't make us so clenched and rigid and stiff about whatever it is that's happening. And I think it helps us realize maybe not everyone is out to get me or do me wrong, right? Sometimes people just mess up, and that's okay. But it gives us a different way to converse with someone and talk about whatever went wrong. And it takes you out of victim mode, which is so important. It takes you out of that victim mode and the mentality of why me, or why is this happening to me? And it switches to a more empowering frame of mind, because I feel like, at least for me, it lets me address the situation with a more calm and rational mind. And I mean, let's face it, when shit gets fucked up, that's what you need, right? You don't need to go into the situation guns blazing to fuck shit up even more, right? So this, to me, helps you take it down a couple notches so you can figure out what makes the most sense for your next steps. All right, so that's it this week on conclusions. And it's an interesting thing because we all deal with this. And so if you have any thoughts on this, I would love to hear from you. Email me, sloanfremont@gmail.com, or I'll post on Instagram so you can comment on there if you'd like as well. But so let's talk about songs for this week. Intro song is Wonder Woman by Kacey Musgraves. So this album, her Golden Hour, I think this album is called, the newest one. She's won a lot of awards for this, and it's a really amazing album. I think there's only one song on there that I don't really like, and it's the Mother song because it's sad. But I like this song, Wonder Woman. I think really I like the whole album, but the words in this song, so she's talking about baby, I ain't Wonder Woman, I don't know how to lasso the love out of you, don't you know I'm only human, and if I let you down, I don't mean to. And I think that's how majority of people live their life, right? We don't go through life meaning to let somebody down, but sometimes things happen. And that's where jumping to conclusions is, it's not helpful in the situation. So the point of today's show was to give you a couple other tools you can use that help diffuse that situation. So Wonder Woman by Kacey Musgraves was the intro song. Outro song, okay, this is The Journey by Soul Rising. And I picked this song because no other than it's just a good chill song. So we're talking about jumping to conclusions and being amped up several notches, and I think sometimes it's good just to have go-to chill songs. And I have this playlist on Spotify called Lo-Fi Beats, and I think I may have found this song on there. But anyway, it's just this whole playlist, Lo-Fi Beats, is just a good chill playlist to have on, it's good to have on the background. It doesn't require much effort or thought. I just put it on. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for that, and I thought this was a good outro song given the topic today. Okay, so that's it for this week. Let me know what you think. Like I said, jumping to conclusions. We all face this. So how do you deal with it? What questions do you ask? What do you like to ask? So let me know, sloanfremont@gmail.com, or on Instagram, sloanfremont. And if you like the podcast, please remember to subscribe in iTunes, rate, and review so more people can find us. So abracadabra, now go forth and create what you speak.